So today's episode on Finding Me, I'm Kyle Fraser and we are talking to Brennan Reece. So how are you? How are you doing?
Today, good, yeah.
In general?
It's in general, it's just life, isn't it? Sometimes you're up, sometimes you're down. But on the whole, I'm all right, yeah.
Good, glad to hear it. What brought you to comedy? Obviously, there's the quote that Jimmy Carr's famously used from The Tears of a Clown. Someone going to see a psychiatrist and the psychiatrist saying, "Oh, Grimoli's in town. He's the best clown there is. You should go see him." And the man turns around and says, "But I am him." And it's kind of highlighting, although that person might bring all the laughs, doesn't mean they are necessarily the happiest in the room themselves. So do you feel that is true for you? Do you feel that mental health or an instant brought you to comedy, or is that not the case?
Completely. Well, I think that it was the other way around, where I've loved comedy since I was like a kid, maybe like from about 10, 11, seeing people be able to say the things that you just can't do at work. It doesn't feel like a job.
Yeah.
And then I didn't know you could do it as a job until I was in my 20s. So I went like full force and just dived straight into it. And I think that being a comedian has affected my mental health more than me having mental health problems, right, and then deciding to be a comedian.
So on the note of that, affected you positively, negatively? How do you describe its effect on you?
I'd say I've had some of the best times and the worst times that I've ever had in my life. And I don't know whether that's because I started just over 10 years ago, so it's a real pivotal bit going from your mid-20s to your mid-30s. So that could have just been a coincidence. But I think that the thing that comedy gives you is like community, which I think is lacking in the world, which makes people feel wanted and accepted and part of something. It also gives you that feeling that you're able to just create in general. I think, whether you want to do it as a job or anything, but painting, writing, singing, dancing about, they do something amazing.
Yeah.
Whether it's just for a bit of fun or whether it's for a career. So I've had all the good bits from that. And then the bad bits, I think, are that you spend quite a lot of time on your own. Right. People think comedy is really glamorous. And you do your 20 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour, and then your adrenaline is straight through the roof. And then you get in the car, and then you drive from Aberdeen to Carlisle, which takes 6 hours, and you're just on your own, and you're sort of left with nothing but your own thoughts, whether it's gone bad or good. And then you're everything as well. You're the writer, director, driver, performer. So that's quite a lot of pressure. When I first started, it felt like comedy was fun, and I think like most things, and then it becomes your job. And because if I have 2 weeks off, that's a lot of pressure. That because you're not working for 2 weeks.
So just on the note of that, when you say talking about ups and downs, do you, obviously you do, but do you feel a massive difference coming off like a show or a tour internally, like in your mental state, as in the highs of a tour, highs of a show, and then there isn't one? Do you feel like there's a massive difference, or do you feel that you just kind of roll with it on to the next?
I think after a while it sort of numbs, so when you do your first gigs or your first anything, first TV record, first live at the Apollo, first this, first that, it's the best, and you build it up and you build it up. And there are like real cool moments for you and your family and your friends. And then it sort of gets less and less. So I can walk off the stage and not really feel much sometimes.
Right.
But then that can, when you're doing like a 2-hour drive home and you're not really feeling anything, that's also an issue.
Yeah.
I think with mental health, and I'm an advocate for people doing therapy and checking in and all that sort of stuff. But I think when you stop feeling anything, that's the like real warning sign.
Yeah. No, absolutely. So I take it that leads me on to the next point. Do you feel being a comedian or the person that's meant to bring a release from every day affects your mental health? Like you say there, it's quite numbing now.
Yeah.
So do you feel there's a pressure to that? Do you feel there is a numbness, or?
I think the biggest pressure is when you're off stage. On stage, it's like a contract where you go, right, we're all in a comedy club, we're all facing the right way, we've all agreed to these rules, and you do your bit, and you can either be in the room, or you can just switch it on and press play and do the stuff, or it's more when you're like at social events. Christmas is pretty tough, family stuff, because if you're like social batteries low, which mine can be, people see it as, oh, well, you're not being very funny.
Right.
You go like, I know, well, I'm not at my job. Also, you're not being a bin man today, and you're not working in a hospital.
So just because you're the funny person, there's the expectation to always be the funny person.
Yeah, because I'm my job. Whereas most people's jobs are they're doing a task.
Yeah.
Whereas my job is my personality.
So do you feel like there's an image associated with you being a comedian opposed to, say, you worked in an office, you just get to leave that and that's it? Do you feel like outside of stage, there's always eyes on? I think
sometimes when I'm at like events, I'm introduced as Brennan Reece, the comedian. Even like amongst family, it's like, oh, well, he does comedy. Yeah. Whereas most people don't get introduced by their job. They don't say, oh, there's Derek, the TA.
Yeah.
And there's Margaret, who works in Morrison's Cafe.
Yeah. So, how do you feel that having a following has affected you? Like, how do you feel you deal with the hecklers or the trolls and whatnot? Because obviously that's a massive part of being famous, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, luckily I don't get, like, I maybe get asked for a picture a couple of times a week in the street, which is nice because most people are really nice about it. They just go, oh, sorry, I've noticed you, I like your stuff, have a picture, and then they go. But I think it's more when it's people, it's wild because it's the people that don't care are the ones that affect you the most.
Right.
It's when leaves a comment and they say, I thought it was awful. I had one last night where I was doing a gig and a man messaged me and he said, thank you so much for making me believe I can do comedy, because if you can do it, anyone can. And I just think, fine, like, absolutely fine. If you have that feeling and you didn't like what I do, that's okay. But I don't understand why you need to tell me that. Like, you wouldn't post a letter through my door and say, no, I didn't enjoy it. But I think because people think that you're having a laugh all the time, I think people just think that you can take it. So I tend to, like, one of my coping mechanisms with constantly feeling like you have to be on because of social media is that I just don't engage with the comments. I don't look at the comments. I don't, because they're not for me.
Yeah.
Even if they're good, that's to boost your ego. That's not good. And if they're bad, then it's the opposite.
Yeah. So on the note of that, how do you feel that the current culture is affecting comedy and comedians? Like, now you don't get an off. 20 years ago, you used to go home and there was no social media, so your reviews were the laughs you had in the room. Or even outside of that, the cancel culture, that you can't say this, you can't say that, and even a joke in Friends can be taken wrongly.
Yeah. I think that a lot of comedians are becoming exhausted because there's so much pressure to post content every day, to keep up with all these like new sort of like 18-year-old in inverted commas comedians, because then they do comedy online but they don't do stand-up.
Yeah.
And then they have these huge spikes in popularity because they're sending stuff direct to someone's pocket instead of with sort of analogly going around the country. So there feels like a big pressure that way, and it feels like the craft is becoming less of a craft, which then makes you regret doing the past 10 years because you go, what have I been working really hard on?
Yeah.
So that has a huge effect, because I can turn my phone on now and see 20 people doing better than me. I could also see 20 people doing worse than me, which again is, I don't want to be that person who's enjoying someone's downfall or cursing someone's success. I just got into it because I love the art of comedy. I think it's brilliant. And then your question about cancel culture is, I think if jokes are done with the right intention, which is to bind people together and to maybe dance on the line, it's not filled with hate, I think you can sort of do what you want, but it's when it's taken out of context and they post about it in the Daily Mail and someone's having the Cocoa Pops and suddenly it says, Jimmy Carr said this. And you go, well, that's not the agreement. We all agreed to go into a room and have a laugh. So there's a lot of pressure there to conform to doing what you think other people want you to do.
So if someone was to take one piece of advice from you, say, like I watched your Fringe show, I thought it was brilliant. And
Thanks.
I guess this quite, to some degree, links to the show about image and how people perceive things. If someone was to take one piece of advice, either from this interview, from your shows, what would that be? And bring forward to even a new comedian or someone at home unsure about things to do with identity or how they're meant to feel in a modern world.
I think the thing with new comedians is you just have to gig. You just have to go out and do the miles and get good. But the thing in general about wanting to do something, you can, because there's so much choice with everything now. You turn on Netflix and there's a million things to watch. You turn on YouTube and it says, do you want to watch these 7 things or these 7 things? And I think you can have this thing, which I think is called something like choice paralysis, where you go like, oh God. So I heard a quote recently that because I have to do the work to make sure that I'm operating at least 50%. I have to read, I have to journal, I have to do all those things. But I think that if you're thinking, right, do I want to do something, create a bit of art, let's call it creating a bit of art, or take a risk, I think as long as the intention is there to do something right, whereas it might be a joke or a painting or write a script, as long as the intention is there to make something lovely, then do it. And the quote that I heard, which I love, is you don't have to make the right choice, because there's a million right choices and there's a million wrong choices. We'll never know what they are. So you don't have to make the right choice. You just have to make the choice right. So just pick the thing that you want to do and go at it just full force.
No, I really like that. Yeah, it's an interesting way to look at it, but I really like that.
Yeah. Because it means at least you're doing something.
Yeah, absolutely. So I have one more question for you. And it's a very basic question, but it's quite a thought-provoking question. Are you happy?
I would say for such a simple question, it's such a tricky answer, because you go, right now, yeah. At 2:00, maybe not. But the thing with your emotions and mental health is it's a bit like water, where it's very unpredictable, and you can do everything you can to sort of get in the right slipstream, know when the tides are coming in and out, know what triggers you, know what makes you feel good. For me, it's I know when I'm having a bad day, when I am buying loads of awful food or when I'm buying lots of clothes. So it's knowing those signs to go, hang on, something's not quite right here. And also it's when you're happy, when you're having a good day, it's sitting in that as well and going, that's okay. You don't have to feel guilty about it. You don't have to worry that the next wave of emotion is going to come along. But Ruby Wax, who is a brilliant comedian, she now does quite a lot of stuff about mental health, and she just says, what's the weather condition in my head today? And sometimes it'll be rainy, sometimes it'll be sunny. But the great thing about weather is it always changes.
I really like that. I like the weather condition analogy. It works. Thanks for this. It's been an amazing interview. Hopefully in future we can do more. And I'm looking forward to seeing your next shows, your next tours, if you're at the Fringe next year.
Lovely. Thanks so much, mate.
Thank you.